Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Welcome to the show, y'all. Today, you know how I get down, y'all. We're going to keep it gritty and grimy. I got a special guest on the show that's going to be telling us how he ended up selling drugs at 14 and how that led to all other things in his life into adulthood, right? And one of the reasons I like to share stories like this is because I want it to be one of those situations where it's personal. Because a lot of times we talk about things like that, you know what I'm saying, separate from the person, you know, drug dealer, gang member, all of these different types of things, right? But I like it better when you put a name or a face to it. You know, that way you can relate to it more. Because you know how a lot of people say, well, that never happened to me, or I wouldn't do nothing like that. Well, if you know somebody that has done that, or you've known about somebody's life that pulled them into that, right? Then why would you assume that that couldn't happen to you? Why would you assume that you're better than that individual? Life and circumstances in life put us in predicaments that make us do things that we never, ever imagined that we would do. And with that said, I'm going to introduce my special guest. Hope, thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. First of all, I want to thank you for doing this show, taking the time out of your day to do this show. And you said we're going to keep it gritty and grimy. You know, that's how I was told that you tell your stories about your life. You know what I mean? But before we get into that, can you lay the foundation and tell people a little bit about yourself, you know, as much as you feel comfortable, and then we're going to jump right in.
44 years old. Been living a hard life since 12, 13, 14 years old. Mm-hmm. Grew up in a family of drug users, abusers, family going to prison, in and out of prison. Just a rough life.
Rough life.
Rough life.
Yeah. When you were younger, you know, before you started selling, what was your first experience with? Did you see a family member using? Or cousin, anybody in your family, did you see them using? What was it that made you want to decide to either sell drugs at that age or use drugs at that young age?
I remember back I ain't gonna say one of my first memories, but one of my memories of drug use was riding in the car with my mom and daddy.
Okay.
And them telling me that I was a big boy now.
How old were you?
I want to say I was 7 or 8 years old.
Okay, go ahead.
And that what happened between mom and daddy, it wasn't nobody's business. For me to just sit in the back seat and be real quiet, and it was going to smell funny.
Smell funny?
Yeah. That's whenever mom and daddy fired up a big old joint and went to town, you know.
Yeah.
Rolled up the windows.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the first memories of drug use that I remember.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
One of my first memories of them using drugs. Now,
mm-hmm.
One of my first memories of me using drugs was I went to a funeral
mm-hmm.
with my family, and I ended up riding back with my aunt and uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt and uncle, my uncle, he's a big Harley rider, biker gang looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in the back of a 70 model Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
With Jimi Hendrix playing.
Come on now.
And they fired up, and the next thing I know, it was come to me.
How old were you then?
You know,
roughly.
I want to say 10, 11.
Okay. Goodness.
And that was my first hitting of a joint. So.
You knew what it was because.
I knew the smell. Yeah, I knew the smell. I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely knew what it was.
Before they passed it to you, did they ask you, did you want to hit it? Or?
No, it I was in rotation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember, and my mom and daddy tells me stories of me as a young kid, before 3, 4 years old, and they'd be sitting around and smoking weed, and I used to be the pass guy, the little kid, that would grab it and pass it to the next one.
Wow.
So, I mean, I guess I've been around drugs all my life.
Yeah. Go
really.
back that. Yeah, that's
my daddy, I know, my mama and daddy at the age of 18, they were arrested. My daddy was caught with a pound of pot, I think it was. I'm not real 100% on it, but an amount of pot, and they took his car and stuff at the time, took him to jail. I think they let my mama off. She ended up not with anything, but he ended up with some misdemeanor charges. You know, back then it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I come from, I guess,
whole line.
Whole line. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so you started selling drugs at 14, you say, roughly?
Roughly 14. I want to say selling drugs. We steal a joint from my mom and daddy. Maybe 2 joints from my mom and daddy.
Yeah.
Smoke one and then take the other one to school and sell it to somebody. One of my friends. You want to get high?
Yeah.
You know? Started. I mean, there was a time in junior high. 7th, 6th, 7th grade, 7th, 8th grade, you know, they found some parsley in my locker.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they came from to tell them.
Yeah.
But I was trying my hand in it, you know what I mean? So
with some parsley.
With some parsley. I mean, you know, just something. You know, I was a kid trying to be a big boy. I was trying to be a big boy. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So when you start, you know, stealing a joint here, a joint there from your pops out of his stash, he didn't know it.
No.
Right.
No.
So you getting this, and what did you learn that you could make? What did you get that you could make money from that at that young age?
Because you get other kids that they want to know what they want to get high too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a kid. You know, you tell them you get high, you got high. They want to get high too.
Yeah. But did you fully understand what that meant?
No.
They didn't either, did they?
No.
Yeah. It's just
trying to be cool.
Trying to be cool.
Trying to be cool.
Trying to be cool. That's what a lot of people say. Trying to be cool.
Wanting to be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've done this.
Yeah. So they end up doing some things that think are fashionable or cool or whatever. They end up leading them down the road. So tell me one of your stories about, you know, beyond just stealing a few joints here and there, right? Tell me one of the stories that I've been hearing you so infamously known for dealing with your escapades as a young drug dealer.
Let me back up before the drug dealing so much.
Okay.
The drug using was more at a young age.
Yeah.
Okay. The drug dealing, the hardcore dealing, didn't come until an older age, and I decided it was time, or I was trying to take and at that time I had a family, I had a kid, and I was trying to take care of him. Now, at a younger age, running around selling pot and being trying to be before I didn't even, at the age of 18, I had never even seen crack until after I turned 18.
Okay.
It was just mainly drinking and marijuana at the before 18 and younger.
I got you.
But there's I mean, I tried my hand. I tried as being a pot dealer whenever I was young. Working at one of my favorite ones is working at Captain D's.
Yeah.
And being on the line and listening, and somebody coming up and pulling up to the window and ordering a 20 sack instead of a 20 piece.
See what you said?
And me and that. What do you mean a 20 sack? I got this one.
Yeah.
And I come out the back of the kitchen and serve out the window.
Yeah.
So that was the extent, nickels and dimes, 20s, as far as the drug dealing for the early ages.
Yeah.
There's been so many times that I I don't really know how to explain it. It was more having fun.
Yeah.
Than selling dope.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
But whenever it got real is whenever, okay, I come to prison my first time in 99. 1999 was my very first time coming to prison. I was running around with some guys, and this is where the first time I used crack and started experimenting with other drugs at that time, other than just pot, more drinking. I got in with a couple of guys, and they were robbing houses, and I was selling pot.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know at the time that they were robbing the houses.
Okay.
I thought I was trading this. I was naive.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was trading this pot for this jewelry or these hand tools or whatever,
Yeah.
But then come to find out, here I am, get ran up on. The police run up on me. They pull in behind. Well, actually, we stopped at a store,
Mm-hmm.
and the police pull in behind us. They start to search us. They've got me already behind the car. The other two's in the car. The one guy, he comes out. He pulls the back seat. We're in a 280Z to set up the scene a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a 280Z, and the guy in the back seat grabs the lever and he pulls it as the front seat passenger gets out.
Yeah.
And as he does, he also pulls out a gun and shoots the police.
Oh, what?
So this is my first experience of coming to prison and being with these two gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
However, after the shootout, you've got one on the run, one in custody, that being me, and one dead.
Yeah. Oh, he died.
Yes, they shot him. I watched my buddy get shot in the forehead at that time. I did I was facing aggravated. I had aggravated burglaries. I had 53 aggravated burglaries at the time, 53 counts of theft over 1,000 at the time. Attempted first degree murder on a police officer, reckless endangerment, solicitation of a felony, criminal responsibility of 2 others.
Wow.
Just 6 months after I turned 18 years old.
Wow.
And my very first plea bargain was that they offered is life without. That's the plea bargain, life without.
Goodness.
They said, now, if you'll go ahead and take this plea bargain, and if this police officer dies, we won't go for the death penalty.
Uh-huh.
But you got to take this plea bargain now. So I got word, the police officer was getting better. I needed him to get better.
For
okay.
Sure.
If he doesn't get better, if he dies, then
you locked in.
I've got a life sentence coming.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Well, they threatened me 2 or 3. The next one, he's getting better. We're going to offer you life with parole this time. No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm 18 years. I'm scared to death already as it is.
Mm-hmm.
A few months later, go to court again. Well, he meets me. He's actually the one that walks me into the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
He tells me that he understands I was young and dumb. Doesn't hold any ill will towards me, and if need be, he will speak up and say that I had no part in it because they had me in custody at the point in time. Okay, but had I been sober, I don't think any of this would have ever happened. If I wouldn't have been smoking weed, getting high, partying life, selling, I don't think it would have ever happened.
You don't.
I don't know, but I don't think it would have.
Right. I get you.
But anyway, I ended up with 13 counts, aggravated burglaries and thefts. They dropped everything else. 8-year sentence at 30%.
Oh, that's what's up. Consider.
So consider the life, right.
Yeah, consider.
So I do 3 years on it. Oh, well, it's a month shy of the date.
Yeah.
Of a 3-year date. I get out. Get with my high school sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clean. I'm sober.
Yeah.
Did
you get clean while you were locked up?
I was clean while I was locked up. Yes.
That's how you got clean.
That's how I got clean.
You think that helped you?
Yes, it did. It did.
Interesting.
However, I'm not going to say that I didn't smoke a little pot during, or maybe even it's been a long time.
Sparingly though.
I might, yeah. I mean,
wasn't every morning,
no.
Yeah,
no.
wasn't every morning, every day.
Not every day, no. Might have even drank while I was in prison.
Yeah.
I get out. I'm doing really well. I've got a good job working at Tyson's Foods. I get with my high school sweetheart. Now, while I was locked up, she had a baby.
Were y'all
we
involved before you went in, or were you involved while you were locked up?
Okay, so to say this, she was with the guy that got killed.
Oh, really?
She was living at the place that we was living at.
Gotcha.
It was 5 or 6 of us living at the same place. But she was with the guy that got killed. However, she moved on. And like I said, she got pregnant and she had a kid while I was locked up. We just talked. I told her, I said, while I was locked up, that everything was going to be okay. Whenever I got out, if we could try our hand and see what happens. I get out. We start talking. We party a few little times, drinking. Nothing. No kind of. Yeah. She had, with having a kid, she wasn't doing any kind of drugs. And she's clean, right? She's studying to be a paralegal. Actually done completed paralegal.
That's what's
everything. Let's fast forward a little bit, about a year. Actually 2303, about to have the anniversary of my son's birth. Me and her got together. We're together. She has a baby by me. We're living well. We're doing good. No drugs. No nothing. A little alcohol here and there, but nothing major. One day I come home from work 9 months after my son's born, and she tells me that she's having blackout spells. She don't know what's wrong. But let's just say that I've took her to surrounding hospitals for the last few months and had her checked out because she's had different problems, hip problem, head problem, this, that, and the other. And the only thing that her mama says is that she's been that I've got her on pills and me, because they're looking at my past.
Yeah.
Anyway,
blaming you.
Blaming me, right. Anyway, I finally get tired of it, and I take her to Vanderbilt, bring her to Vanderbilt here in Nashville, and she never leaves the hospital. She dies.
Sorry.
She died of angiosarcoma, a very rare type of cancer at the point in time, and that, my friend, is where my spiral starts.
Yeah. That's
where I start using cocaine. That's where I start smoking crack. I've now been left with a 7-year-old. A 9-month-old little boy. And I'm a single daddy that's got to raise him.
I get it.
So, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't. I'm nothing but 23 years old.
Where's her family at?
They're there, but they want to take him away. They don't want him to be with me.
They don't want.
They went to
blame you.
I'm not gonna say they blame me, but they even went to the far facts. I mean, of saying that this isn't your son and having me tested. Mm-hmm. So what does that say about? What are you trying to say about your daughter? Right.
Right.
I've always been a firm believer. Don't throw rocks at a glass house if you live in one too.
Right.
So. And they wasn't the perfect family either. They had been locked up, been arrested for. Yeah. They actually got caught with a barn full of marijuana, and they're pounds. Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, they lived in a glass house.
Yeah.
So.
So here you are, 22, 23 years old.
23.
The love of your life is dead. You got
the one that whenever I say love, this is the woman that I lost my virginity to. We lost it at 12 years. She was 12, I was 13.
Oh my God.
Lost virginity to.
Yeah, you love her.
So this is true love. This is the one that got away.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Able to look, this is what we're gonna do, right? I'm gonna end this episode. We're gonna come back and we're gonna pick it up right there. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
All right. Y'all stick around. It's getting better, right? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I said peace, y'all.